Hey all, it's Tom. I guess this would be for part 14. Story of me. Outside of the oddities, we I think I left off where talking about old friends of mine, and so let me clear the air about a couple of things. When we got older, I had a gang of kids I hung with, and we go, fishing and smoking cigars and cigarettes, and we'd ride our bikes over to the penny candy store sometimes, and we had a good time. And I don't know what happened. Somehow or another, we got separated. Well, I do know what happened, but I'm not going to point fingers. So it came to a point where my cousin was going by the house. I said to him, "Hey, go down and tell them bastards we're going to have at it today. It's going to be over with. All four of you, let's go." So they come up, and I said to them, "Well, how do we do this? One at a time or all four at once? Doesn't matter to me." And the first guy up was a guy by the name of Roger. Little wiry kid, fast as lightning. I couldn't hit him. I re- I went to punch him, and all the memories came back, and I just couldn't hit him. He kicked my ass. Good. And it always questioned people's minds. What happened? That's what happened. I just all the memories of our friendship and things we did and just came flooding back and just couldn't hit them. That happens. So that was Roger, and the funny thing is that many years later, um, the oldest guy of the bunch there, Jim, he called me on the phone, and he was dying of cancer, and we got talking, and he's like, "Why didn't?" I was like, "Jim, I just couldn't. You know, we all read our first Playboys together. We all, had our first smokes together and other things. I just couldn't. No matter how mad I got, it was just I just didn't have it in me to hit him." He said, "Me, I was wondering about that." I was like, "Yeah, but I showed up, and that was enough. They knew I wasn't going to take any more shit, and they left me alone." Oddly enough, a couple of weeks later, we were playing football. Another gang of kids I hung with, and that gang of kids, was like, "Hey, let's have a football game." Sure. I was waiting for a brawl, and we had a really good football game every Saturday. We used to get together for about a month, actually. We played football or basketball. We had a good time. And then like I said, there was Jimmy Zacher that I hung around with, and just some funny stories. We were behind his house. There was a Razorback Ridge, and being young then, we were young kids. When we first started hanging around, like 9, 10 years old, I used to get off the bus at his house, and he'd come over my house. So. But anyway, we were like 9, 10 years old, so we decided to take this big adventure through the woods behind his house. Now, mind you, where this whole thing took place, you could really, if you fired a shotgun in the right angle, you could probably hit something. That's how close the houses were, but it was a big adventure to us. So me, him, and his little 5-year-old sister, we, grabbed some sodas and we took off. And we were walking down this pathway, and this thing came running at us. Excuse me. This thing came running at us. Somebody yelled bear, and we took off. We were like, we didn't stop till we hit the house. I realized, much later in the day, it was a beaver, a big beaver. But, so that was one funny story, and I guess you had to be there. It was funny. People running through the woods, screaming and yelling as beavers chasing us. So we were up on this razorback ridge, and I mean it was pretty straight down, but trees growing in it, on it, whatever you call it. And he said to me, watch your footing, man. The rocks are whoop gone. He was down on the bottom of the ridge and yelling, "Jimmy, you alive, Jimmy?" Yeah, man, I'm alive. I think I broke my ass. He had this gigantic bruise on his butt cheek that was just amazing. It was. The one night we were at right up above his house was a local a mom and pop grocery store, which is still there today, called Smoking Joe's. Well, the soda machine outside, if you punched it hard enough, threw sodas at you. And these things didn't just roll down and come out the tray. I mean, they were like out of the tray at you. And so we're smart kids. I was a glass front on the store, and I'm punching that machine, and we're pulling sodas. We packed a backpack full. It was about that time we looked through the window and saw the owner of the store standing there eating a tasty cake pie. And he's just sitting there looking at us like, So we got a call the next day, because everybody knew everybody. We got a call the next day. It was like, don't do it again. I will press charges. So I went up and I asked him why. And he said to me, well, that's stealing, man. It's like, you can't just, take sodas out of the machine. It's like, oh, I don't like stealing shit. I still don't. I don't like thieves. I think I've stolen. I'll tell you this story next. And so that was that night. One night his brother had a 57 T-Bird he was restoring sitting in the yard. And we decided we were going to stay in it for the night. Now we rolled a pack of joints, and we got in the car, right? Now, we're smoking. The car is a fog bank. You couldn't see front seat to back seat. We're laughing and carrying on and whatnot. Well, you couldn't see out of the car, so we were sitting there, and all of a sudden the door opens. His mother winged the door open, and when she did, this puff of smoke, it looked like a hurricane cloud or something, came funneling out of the car, hit her in the face, and she damn near choked to death. She was out there hacking for 10 minutes. We ass-ended out the other side of the car, That was funny. Oh, yeah. His father used to run an antique store. They had a house here and a house next door, and at that house next door, they made an antique shop. So we were over there one night, and Joe, Mr. Zachary, came over. So we hid because we weren't supposed to be in there. And he opens the door and he comes in. He said, "Anybody in here?" And me and my infinite wisdom went, "No!" That poor man dear, he shit his pants. I never seen anybody turn tail or run like that in my lifetime. I scared the boogers out of him. And then I told you the story about the night we got stuck on the church steeple. That was funny. But one night there's an ice cream stand right above my house. And I used to ride my bike up there, and I'd ride around the park a lot, and when the cars weren't there, when he was closed, that wasn't causing any problems. I was just riding my bike around the park a lot. So the old so-and-so came out and he said, listen, you fat, you're not riding your bike around my park. And it's like, well, why? Don't you question, but we had at odds with each other, let's put it that way. So I go walking down the road one night, me and Jim. He comes out of the house with his can in his hand. He's going to belt me with it. You get off my property. I looked at him and said, I'm standing on the road. How far do you want me to go? So I walk across the other side of the road. He comes over the white line on his side with the cane. He's going to belt me again. I looked at him and I said, I've had just about enough of you. What do you mean by that? And I belted him. Down he went. So he had an older son. He was probably 5, 6 years older than me. He come running out of the house. He grabbed me by the back of the shirt, threw me down on the ground, and went to jump on me. Anyway, to do that, I stiff-kneed him. I brought my knee up, and he literally just jumped right on my knee. Well, he was rolling around holding his guts and crying. The other man backed up, and he whacked me with the goddamn cane, and we got into it then, and I busted that cane across his head. I thought I killed him. In the meantime, the guy that owned the business next door was a machine shop. So Russ came out, and he thought he was a big man, In the meantime, Jimmy said to me, go ahead, I'll back you up. I said, okay. So he comes out of the machine shop. He's like, hey, you son of a... Him and one of his machinists. And I looked at him. I said, Russ, get back inside or I'm going to belt you too. Yeah, you think you're hot shit. So they come over. They decided to have a hand at it. Well, I'm only 13 or 14 years old, and they took out the two Mitchell boys, and now these guys are laying and lacing on me because, it's just what happened. So I had 4 grown men beating on me at one time. I would say holding my own, but losing. I looked around for my backup, and it was bright moonlight. You could see like daylight. I look around for my backup, and I see this figure running down through the field. I was like, what the hell? He's like, well, man, he said, I figured if they could take you, I had no chance, so I'm getting the hell out of here. It's like, oh, for God's sake. He convinced me one day to try a monkey rope. If you don't know what a monkey rope is, you tie a rope into a tree over, a swimming hole. You swing out on the rope lamb, in the water. Well, it was 12 o'clock at night, and we were walking past the swimming hole. He said to me, I dare you to monkey rope into the hole. It's like, it's 12 o'clock. He said, yeah, I dare you. Well, it was like in the 70s. It was summertime. It's like, oh, well, he dared me. I have to now. Man, I hit that monkey rope, but I missed the knot on the bottom of my feet. And the rope went out, and I started sliding. I burnt my hands. I couldn't use them for 3 days. Oh, that was a terrible night. And I never did hit the water. I hit the bank on the other side, damn near killed myself. That's what happens when you're smoking stuff you shouldn't be. So, yeah, we had a lot of fun, me and Jim and the boys in town. I mean, me and Mark Hoffman and Gordon Edwards and 2 girls that lived next to us, that lived next to Mark, the horror girls, and Timmy Clark, I think his name was. We'd be sitting in the middle of the field at night, right across the road from my house, and, just talking kid talk, what's going to happen in the future when we're getting back into school, blah, blah, blah. So there was a lot of kids around, and I had a lot of fun in between everything else. So this is part 14, I guess, of the story of me. So this is Tom. Thank you for your time and your patience. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you guys on the next one.